We have some questions. The first question is, what books should I study on madhabs? There are many books in Arabic language, but in English, what I have found is the book of Dr. Abu Amina Bilal Phillips, that is known as the Revolution of Fiqh or Revolution of Madhhab. So that is very good book. It gives the background of how the madhahib came into existence and how people followed them, and again what, as he said, what is permissible in terms of taqleed and what type of taqleed is not permissible. So that is one of the good books. We have a question that when it comes to madhahib, is salafiyyah is also known as another madhab? No, salafiyyah is not a madhab. Salafiyyah simply means to follow the Quran and the Sunnah based on the opinions of the scholars, and those opinions are also based on the Quran and Sunnah. To follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the understanding of the Salaf. So this is what Salafiyyah means. When you follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the understanding of the Salaf. And in Salaf means the predecessors. And predecessors, first and foremost, refers to the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Can we follow all madhabs or rulings? Yes, you can follow and you should follow. So whatever you find within a madhab that matches with the Quran and Sunnah, you take it, and whatever contradicts the Quran and Sunnah, you leave it. So in one particular matter, you might be following Hanafi madhab. In another matter, you might be following Maliki. A third one, you will be, and in the third opinion, in the third matter, you might be following Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. In the fourth matter, you might be following Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. So whoever opinion matches the Quran and Sunnah, you take it and you follow it, and there is no harm in it. People usually say this is just playing games with the religion of Allah, and you just pick and choose, and you just mix and match. We say, so what's wrong with it? As long as your foundation is Quran and Sunnah, this is your foundation. So whatever matches the Quran and Sunnah, you accept it. Whether it comes from Abu Hanifa or Imam Malik or Imam Shafi or Imam Ahmad Hanbal, regardless, whatever matches the Quran and Sunnah, this is your foundation. So whether you call it mix and match or pick and choose, whatever you want to call it, it is permissible. Were the four Imams bad because they differed from the Quran and Sunnah? No one can say, and no one has the courage to say that four Imams are bad, na'udhu billahi min dhalik, or they contradicted, or they differ from the Quran and Sunnah. No, this is not the way. This is not what we say. The Imams themselves, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, rahimahumullah ajma'een, all of them, they never ever liberally issued any fatwa that goes against the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rather, whatever they understood from the Quran and Sunnah, they gave the fatwa based on their understanding. And now it is for us, the people who came after them, it is for us to compare. For example, if in one particular matter you have four different opinions, one particular matter, you have the opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, all four different opinions. So which one to be followed? The opinion that you find is closest to the understanding of the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallam, you take it. As for the rest, you can't say that the rest three, they deliberately, they went against the Quran and Sunnah. No, rather they issued the fatwa based on their own understanding or based on their knowledge. There is a question, could you give an example of how different opinions are formed from a hadith? There are many evidences or many examples. So leave the hadith aside, let me give you the example of the ayah. The ayah of the Quran says, وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوءٍ. Those women who are divorced, they have to spend the iddah period of 3 quru. The word quru is the plural of qar. Qar'un means menstruation, and qar'un also means purity, which is opposite of menstruation. And the word qar in Arabic language is from the words that has 2 opposite meaning. So the qar means, the word qar'un, it means menstruation, and the word qar also used for tuhur, the purity, which is opposite of menstruation. So based on this particular word, the scholars have differed. Particularly Imam Shafi rahimahullah has differed from other 3 Imams. Imam Shafi rahimahullah, he says the iddah of a divorced woman is to wait for 3 tuhur, and tuhur is the period between 2 menstruations. So according to Imam Shafi rahimahullah, the divorced woman has to wait after she is divorced for 3 tuhur. But as for the rest of the 3 Imams, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, Imam Abu Hanifa, and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, these 3 Imams, they are of the opinion that qar'un means in this ayah, and it refers to menstruation. And according to them, the iddah period is 3 menstruation cycles, not the tuhur period. So this is one example. And there are other examples in the hadith. When it comes to the hadith, there are many examples. There the scholars, they differ, and sometimes they derive the ruling from one hadith, but one scholar, one Imam understood a different way from the other Imam. We can take an example of this from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that makes the mention of his way of performing salah. It is said in the hadith that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he would get up from ruku', he sallallahu alaihi wasallam would stand still until every single joint of his would turn to its place. So this is the wording of the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ would stand after ruku' still to the level that every single joint of his would turn to its place. So this is the wording of the hadith, and the scholars have understood this in 2 different ways. One is that when you stand up from ruku', every single joint turns to its place, means the joint of your elbow is this. When you stand in a normal standing position, this joint is left like this, so the arm or the forearm is left hanging down. So this is normal position. So according to these first type of scholars, they said this is what hadith means. So they said when you get up from ruku', you leave your arms and you leave your hands. You do not place them on the chest after ruku'. But on the other side, from the very hadith, from the same hadith, the other side of the scholars, they also have taken their opinion. They say the wording of the hadith that says that every single joint of the Prophet ﷺ would come back to its place, it refers to the place that the joint was before going to ruku'. So this joint before going to ruku' was here. So the forearm of the Prophet ﷺ would be here before going to ruku'. And what the companion radiyallahu ta'ala meant in this, that when the Prophet ﷺ got up from ruku', this joint came back to its place, which is here. So based on this understanding, they say when you get up from ruku', you place your hand and you do not leave them like a normal standing position. So you can see from this one single hadith, 2 different understanding the scholars have, and based on their understanding, they gave the fatwa. And now the question comes, what is for a lay person, which opinion to follow? We say whatever you are content with, and you approach the Imam and the Imam explains you, and you simply follow it, and it will be not known as blindly following, because you will be given the evidence from this very hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Are people sinful for following a madhab if it goes against the sunnah? Yes, no doubt. No doubt. Imams, they have refuted, all the four Imams, they prohibited, and they said it is not permissible. Imam Shafi rahimahullah said in very clear words, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he said in clear words, La yahillu li ahadi. It is not halal, it is not permissible for anyone to accept the opinion of anyone when the opinion goes against the Quran or the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu. So the answer to this question is yes, it is sin to follow a madhab if the madhab goes against the Quran or the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu in any one particular matter. We have a question that I was taught a madhab, how do I know what I am doing is right or wrong? Yes, that is why we say for a layman and also for the person who is trying to seek the knowledge, it is not right for such person to restrict himself within one particular madhab. Rather, the true seeking of knowledge is that you study other madhahib as well, so that you are able to compare which opinion in any particular matter is closest to the evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah, and then you follow it. But if you restrict yourself to one particular madhab, then you have this question that you studied one particular madhab, how do you know what is right and what is wrong? Because you never had the opportunity to go back to the Quran and the Sunnah. And following one particular madhab is also called taqleed, and taqleed means قبول قول الغير بلا حجة ولا دليل, to accept the opinion of someone without evidence. So this is what following the madhab means, that you follow the opinion or you take the opinion of someone, although he is scholar or mufti or imam, you take the opinion without looking into the dalil or evidence, or even without asking them whether they had any dalil for their opinion. We have a question, why in my local Salafi masjid do they teach a fiqh book from one of the madhabs? Yes, the answer to this question is that in order to learn, in order to gain knowledge, in order to seek knowledge, it is permissible for you to pick up the book of one particular madhab. Go through that book, follow that madhab while you are studying it. But this should be the goal? Should this be the goal, end goal? No, this should not be the end goal. Rather, your end goal should be to follow the Quran Sunnah. So you can study one particular madhab, and then you follow, and then you move on to the second madhab and the third madhab and the fourth madhab, and then you compare, and then you see whatever you find in each madhab backed by the Quran Sunnah, you take it, and whatever you do not find any opinion within the madhab for which you do not find evidence from the Quran Sunnah, you just simply leave it without even criticizing the Imams of the madhab or the scholars, because they might have some explanation for that. But if the explanation is not backed or is not based on the Quran and Sunnah, then you should not take it.